Close your eyes and get to your well. Get used to going to your well. I want you to think of your well as a refuge, a place to go when you need to get centered. Get used to going to your well. Think of it as, don't look at me, I'm not your well. I'm not your well. I'm not your well. Close your eyes and go to your well. Learn to image on the inside. That's where prayer takes place. Learn to detach from the outside world. Go to your inside world. Go to make that a real place for you. Find an inner sanctuary where you can detach from your 5 senses and the distraction of your 5 senses, so that what you feel on the inside becomes more real to you than the distraction on the outside. The image of the well becomes a holy image for you, a divine magnet. Get to your well. Get to your well. And when you're at your well, you have a place of grace. Even if the well becomes very tiny, you know it's a place of grace. Get me there, Lord. Get me to this well. You say, I am here. I am listening. Just give me this, a rinsing out, a cleansing free of my smaller strivings, so I can be the class act you intended, God, true to my purpose. All my energy aligned behind my deepest intention and your intention for me, whatever that is, each day of my life. And just this, a quieting down. Quiet me down. Clear away the internal ruckus, all the chaos I hear. I can't do this on my own. I try, and I can't. I want to hear the huge stillness in my heart, and I don't even know what that stillness is. But I know it's there. I want to be still. And I want to feel a pulse with creation. I imagine that pulse, but I want to just sense it. I want you in the breath of my soul, even for a minute, even for a second. That's enough for me. And this too, a willingness to notice and forgive the many times I fall short, and I think others do too, and I get impatient. I forget who I am, I forget who they are, I forget everything. So I want to start over each day, fresh and clean, like sweet sheets billowing in the summer sun. I want to wake up with gratitude. I want to go to sleep with gratitude. And I want to live a day with gratitude. This is what I ask. Amen. Okay, back to work. Now, we're walking on the path. Yes? I made that prayer up. I know. It looks like I'm reading, doesn't it? I take a word here and there from a prayer, but I made it up. I winged it. So it won't help you. I made most of the prayers up except the Psalms. I can't take credit for that. I know. Yeah. I'll be on the recording. What I do is I use a book, I take a phrase, and I build the prayer from that. So it can't help you. Kind of pray spontaneously. In a prayer life, in your life, the way the soul matures. Well, I'll get my picture off the table. No. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't mind?
No.
The way we mature, and you won't even realize you're doing this until one day you realize you did it, is that we focus on asking questions about our relationship to God in relationship to why things are the way in the outside world that baffle us. Because our first thing is about external comfort and about people and about the safety of our life. As if the God we want is supposed to organize our outside world. So the first stage of the path everybody walks, think of a path, a nature walk through a national park like Yellowstone that everybody has walked. And the first stage of that is that everybody will wonder, how can this God I'm now interested in help me figure out all the problems I've already had? Because I want to understand, why did I have all those problems? Now I want you to just think of how useless that is. How totally, totally useless. What do you want to go back there for? What purpose would any of that do? What use is going backwards in your life? None whatsoever. You should sit on a bench on this path and truly reflect of what use is any of going backwards at all. There'll come a point where you get that, where you finally get, what a silly thing to do. Why do I keep looking backwards when I keep walking forward, but I keep looking backward? It doesn't make any sense. Because the natural, and I keep turning to this word, the natural flow of your life takes you forward. So why do you ask questions that take you backwards? Why do you do that? And in prayer, you have to understand that those types of prayers are not going to get answered. Prayers that cannot be answered. You're not going to get answers to these search and destroy mystery quests. They serve prayers that serve no purpose. Questions that serve no purpose get no answers. The getting no answer is an answer. This is what you need to understand in terms of how heaven works. The answer is in getting no answer. If you didn't get an answer, don't ask again. That's the answer. And if you want an image for this, it's Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. Would you remove this cup from me? Hello? Hello? I guess not. The response, thy will be done. That was the answer. Silence is an answer. It doesn't call for, I think I need to light more candles. I think I need to scream. I think I need, this calls for a good old-fashioned depression. I think I'll just bang the pots and pans more loudly. None of that is going to change a thing. No form of human behavior will change anything except you finally getting, I'm asking the wrong thing and I'm going in the wrong direction. When I say right or wrong, in this case, I'm saying, let's say I'm asking things that cannot be given. I need to rethink my questions. Am I making sense to you? Eventually, you stop asking things about things that are done and start asking about present time. Keep your attention in present time, not in the past. That's over. You may as well focus on, why did I answer that in 3rd grade? Why did I do that in 4th grade? Why didn't I study for the 5th grade test more? What are you going to do with that? Keep your attention in your present time life and ask questions and focus in ways where you can actually do something about the life you're living. Questions that actually have answers that can be given to you. For example, what do you need and why? What do you need in your life now and why? That's a ferociously powerful set of questions. What do you need in your life? What do you need, you as a person, deep here in your life, and why? What do you need now? What do you need now? How well do you know yourself? And how deeply would you answer that question? What do you need in your life now, and why do you need that? And I'm asking you, how would you answer that? Now, your first level is you're going to say, I need my family. I need my family. You're going to answer it externally. But that's not the answer. I'm going to ask you again. What do you need? What do you need in your life, and why? Now that you've gotten from the obvious, I'm asking you again. What do you as a person? You didn't tell me anything I didn't already know that isn't ridiculously obvious. Now you have to answer what's not obvious. Something where you have to ask yourself, who am I? Who am I? What does the I in me actually need at this stage in my life, with the person I am becoming at this stage in my life, with what my soul is becoming? Let me help you out. For example, you might say, I need now to be part of a community, to have some kind of spiritual community. I need some type of community around me. I've lived very much like an individual, keeping my own time, keeping my own privacy. I valued privacy enormously, and it's made me lonely. What has it gotten you to this point? But there comes a point in the growth of a person where they, as much as we crave our privacy, our individual space, we need to relate to others who understand the experience of shedding our skin, of shedding the parts of us that do not feel real or authentic. Why do we need that? Because we do. Because we do. Because you will complain, you will suffer from feeling alone during the shedding period. And you will say, no one understands me. And you will suffer during this time. You need people who know what you're doing. You could call this a soul companion, but it's not the same as a spiritual director. Make no mistake. This is community of soul companions. You need someone who knows this so that you do not feel isolated. And here's the other reason. You discover a need for self-examination of your conscience, and you need a community for self-accountability. Self-accountability. This becomes a need where you have a need for confession. Self-accountability. And the difference between, I'm not sure that the sacrament of confession is even practical anymore. But as you come to know your inner self, you reach a point. So on our path, I want you to sit down on a bench now, because we're going to talk. There'll come a point where your conscience becomes a force in you to reckon with. Not your consciousness. That's a useless word. But your conscience. That what is right and wrong for you, doing the right thing, discerning what is right or wrong, what is good and evil, recognizing evil, saying, being truthful, saying the truth, developing the courage to be truthful, becomes part of your spiritual path, an essential part of you. Recognize truth is the spiritual path. I can no longer say something that is not true, and when I do, I need to say to someone, I have betrayed myself. I can't live with it by myself anymore. Or I've betrayed someone else. Or I've broken my code. There'll come a point where knowing your values and knowing that that is one and the same with your soul becomes how you know your soul. Values are no longer like convenience. I must have convenience. This is like child's play. The values become, I must be true to myself now, and if I'm not, I feel it in every pore in me. Before I could negotiate that. No, now I can't anymore. I feel it. It hurts. It hurts my heart. It hurts my being. It hurts every part of me. Why? Because now that's how the soul talks to you. That's how you know your soul. That's how you know it. How do you know your soul? That's how you know it. It won't let you compromise an inner truth that you've recognized as an inner truth. Be true to thyself. Be true to thyself. It won't let you do it. It won't let you say what is not true about you or another person. You've crossed that Rubicon now. It won't let you say to another person, I love you when you don't, or I don't love you when you do. It won't let you do that. You've crossed that Rubicon. And now your life becomes that you're on the path, the point of the path at which being truthful and your spiritual life become one and the same thing. Become one and the same thing. To thine own self be true. To thine own self. And this part of the path is one that goes, ouch, and you will have many crises on this. Many, many crises. Many crises. I'm telling you now, this is not This is not a cakewalk. There's nothing easy. The part about accountability and the part about confession is absolutely essential. It is essential. Because you will feel a need to purge, to be able to say to another, I feel like I'm living in a sea of lies and deceit. You might be working in a company and everything around you is hurting you because you see an incredible sea of an absence of integrity. And you see it. You absolutely see it. And it begins to collapse into your psyche. Or I just got a letter from someone who, in the military, who shared something with me. It destroyed her career. An extraordinary career, actually, let me add. This is going on all the time. And if that person had a group of trusted soul companions and came in and said, carrying this truth, what I am witnessing is brutal for me. And I need a prayer group, a companion group. Because I cannot, it is not my place to go and do that. I don't know what I'm called to do. Maybe I'm just called to witness this, and at some point it will become clear. But at this point, what I am looking at, what I know to be true, versus what is being told, versus what is happening, is so painful to carry this. But I need help carrying it. There was a time when it wouldn't have bothered her to carry that. Then comes the time when it is. This happens to everybody. This happens to absolutely everybody. When the moment comes when your eyes are open. Now, at that point, it is very tempting to think it's my job now to tell everybody the truth. Now that I see, I think I will just tell everybody the truth. Because that's what that's what I'll do. Let me introduce a word to you. And this is a word I want you to brand into your brain. It's called discernment. To be discerning. To know when to say something and what is yours to say and what is not to say. Just because you see something doesn't mean you say something. Just because you see something doesn't mean you say something. Are we clear? It's not yours to say. This is where prayer has to come in. You tell me what to do. You'll always find something you can talk about. You'll always find something. And this is where, here's the word, you better stay humble. Because you don't know what you're talking about 90% of the time. You don't know anything. This is where you have to remind yourself of the great lessons of Buddha. You're looking at an illusion 90% of the time. Nobody has all the facts. Nobody has all of anything. This is the comfort you take. Run into the teaching. I'm getting sucked into an illusion. I know this is going on here. I know that. And there's a reality to that. But God knows that too. I'm not the only witness to this. I'm not the only witness. There are angels witnessing this. I'm not the only witness. I don't have all the facts, but I am standing here as a witness in human form. If you want me to take any action, Lord, you let me know what it is. But you better have the facts straight before you tell me what to do. Because I don't have the facts straight. But you've got me here for a reason. And maybe the reason is just to be a holy witness. And to recognize something needs prayer and fast. This needs grace and fast. But this is where you start paying attention to yourself and your own system and thinking, how is this affecting me? How is it affecting me? And if you begin to find yourself losing your power, then you've been bitten by the darkness. You've been bitten by the darkness that you are looking at, that you think you're better than. Do you want me to say that again to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let this sink in very, very strongly. If you find yourself, this is why I am emphasizing to you, you have to know your own nature. God is your nature. God is not this invisible thing we say, God's inside of you. Stop with that. Your nature is a divine expression of the divine. Know your nature. And your nature cannot take being out of balance. What puts you out of balance? Breaking the laws. Jesus was a teacher of law. Buddha was a teacher of law. Therefore, learn the laws, keep the laws. Your body is a system of law. What throws the law off? Dishonesty, imbalance. Know the laws. When you fall out of love, when you fall into fear, when you start acting from fear, you throw your system off. If you start acting from fear, you will start losing your power. That's the point at which you have to say, in the language of my beloved Teresa, a viper's gotten into me. I've become infected. I'm infected. A reptile's gotten into me in the darkness. The very thing that I am aggressive against has bitten me. And I will become aggressive now. And I have become what I am aggressive against. And now I am becoming just like the thing I'm aggressive against. It's bitten me. It's bitten me. And my aggression is no different than that aggression. Am I saying this clearly now? Mm-hmm. Now, I'll give you an example, and maybe some of you have heard me tell this, but it is a perfect example because of my own experience. When I had someone, hired someone to do cabinets in my house, and it didn't work out, and he took the money and he bought a boat, and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, here's my point. When I finally confronted him, he was a very big man, and he had a gun, and he was everything I'm not, right? But in my mind, I sized him up out of my arrogance. I said, well, I'm so smart, he's not. So I will outsmart him and I'll crumble him with my brilliant little mind. I'll make him feel horrible for stealing and blah, 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 blah. So I go to his place, I see this boat, my cabinets, my aquatic cabinets. And there this big lug is looking down at me. What am I going to, it would cost, I'd assume and get what? A motor, you know, and the whole thing was ludicrous. I mean, he just cheated me, and that's as simple as that. I had to cut cut your losses? And so he's looking down at me just like this. Like, he reminded me of the Jolly Green Giant, remember that? And he's looking down at me like this, with a snicker on his face, you know, that sort of, and I was so enraged. So anyway, I left, and then I had to go back and see him about this. And I was in Florida, and I was talking to the late, great John O'Donohue. He's an Irish mystic, poet, wonderful person. And we were chatting, and John was belting down Irish whiskeys, and we were laughing and laughing and laughing. And then I said, "Can I talk to you about something?" I said, I got to see this guy, and I'm just fine until I think about him, and then whammo, my hands start shaking. I get this nervousness in my stomach, and I get upside down, and I can't see straight, and I lose my center. Blah, 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 blah. And John looks at me and he says, "Oh," he said, "You're not strong enough to be around someone with that kind of darkness." He said, "You're just not strong enough. You're not strong enough to be around that kind of darkness," which just struck me so profound. I'm not strong enough to be around darkness. He said, "You have to pray for 4 to 5 hours to get a field of grace strong enough to hold you in order to be around that kind of darkness." And I was so stunned by that. I was so stunned. First of all, it put me in my place, which I duly needed to be in, which is a place I return to more than a few times a day. But it really, really put me in my place. It said, your mind is no protection against darkness. Zero. You cannot. Your mind is no protection. Only prayer is. Only a sense of humbleness. This is only the humble part of you can protect you against darkness. You have to be, what is that? Clever as a serpent.
Wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove.
That's it. Wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove. And therein lies the meaning of that. Okay? And second, and then the whole notion of grace, which is I can't shield. The shield has to come from something other than myself, or I will lose this. I will lose it. And the fourth thing I realized is that this was a good man who was caught up in something other than himself. He was a good, frightened person who simply had an opportunity to get something he never would ever get in his life. This was not a bad person. He was a vulnerable kid. There was nothing bad about this young man at all. He had bad times. It allowed me to see him differently. And somehow darkness got into him. And the way darkness gets in is it gets hold of a thought. It gets hold of a thought. And one of the most vulnerable thoughts that a person can have is to get in through a wound and then say, you deserve this. You deserve this. You've been wounded. You've had hard times. She won't miss it. You deserve it. That's how darkness talks to you. What's darkness look like? That's how it looks. It's not a gargoyle that's going to wake you up at the foot of your bed. It talks to you like that. You deserve this. Go on, you deserve this. It's all right for you to do this. You deserve it. You could do this. You deserve it. And the deserve voice gets bigger and bigger, and it eventually gives you permission to do what you would not do normally. And it allows you to break a law within you that normally you would not break, because he was not someone who was by nature a thief. And that's what I realized. He wasn't someone who's made his life stealing. He built the cabinets for one of my best friends, which is how I found him. He was a very good carpenter. It's just that there was a situation that came that was out of proportion to his power. I gave him a check for an amount of money that was out of proportion to what he normally dealt with. And that was out of proportion to his world. Instead of saying, well, why don't you give me the bills for the work that you're doing little by little, instead I said, oh, here's a huge check for all the cabinets in my new house. Go buy what you need, go take it, da, 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 da. I gave him something out of proportion to what he was used to. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So he went out of proportion. And that's what I realized. And I would not have realized that had I not myself slowed down, gone into prayer. And that's how grace works on your end. So when I next saw him, it was not nearly as, because I had been filled with, this is how a shield of grace works. It doesn't shield you so that you can go ahead, try and hit me. It fills you with perceptions that are your shield. All right? So this is, got it? So you get it. So when I talk to you about what do you need now, I want you at the level of thinking, I need a soul community. I need help holding myself accountable now. I need a group in which I can now discuss how I understand ethics or recognizing evil, because I sense it and I see it. And it's destructive to me because it overwhelms me and I don't know what to do with it. Because your senses may become that acute. And that's going to happen to anybody that was overwhelming for you. And what you will do if you don't have this is you will find a human being to resent. You will do this. What you will do is, without a group of people, this is the blessing of a spiritual community, without a group of people, to make something impersonal. Like to say, this organization has a lot of evil going in. If you don't have a group of people with which to say, I feel like I'm in a sea of evil, and this is what's happening, without a way to make that impersonal. Impersonal. Well, you know, where you could just talk about the nature of evil and how it permeates into people through greed or through this or the times, where you can take what you're experiencing and make it impersonal, because evil is an energy, is like goodness, is like, it follows laws too. Even evil follows law. It must follow the laws too. The nature of evil follows the law. If you don't have that, what you will do in order to cope with being around it is you will reduce it, you will incarnate it into people. And you will say, that person's evil, that person's evil, that, and you will then become filled with hatred yourself. And you will become filled with the darkness. You will absorb the darkness, and you will become filled with it because you have not impersonalized it and diffused it. And you need a community or another person to help you do that. You cannot do that on your own. This is what communion is about. This is what the sacrament of communion, in union. You have to do this kind of thing in union with the holy. Even between two people. You got to help me make this impersonal. I'm taking something personal that is not personal, and it's infecting me. And I can feel it. And there's nothing personal about it, but I'm making it personal. And it's going into my heart, and it's going into my mind, and I can feel it, and you have to help me get it out. I'm going to pause here. Questions? Anybody? This is a big deal here, what I'm sharing with you. This is great, big, huge, big deal. And if you, yes?
What if you don't see, what if you don't, I know evil exists, but what if you feel even somebody that can do something evil, I have trouble seeing evil in people. Like I feel maybe somebody can be evil, but you can get the good, like the goodness of that person. Mm-hmm. Depending on how you are with that person. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like maybe if you give that person a chance, it will bring the good, even that person can be evil towards others. Is that how it can work too?
Mm-hmm. What? But let me say something. Let me just first talk about evil as a force. Okay? It exists as just like light exists, darkness exists. Just like the demonic world and the angelic. These are forces that exist. They just exist. They're part of the force. They're part of the force of creation. They're just forces. Now, a person can have a darkness in their nature. We all do. We all do. We all have shadow aspects. And so shadow aspects are, if I work with that, someone gives me a second chance because I can have a temper. I would not call that evil. Okay. Let's define what evil is. So we'd be really clear here, because I'm not sure we're working on the same definition. Okay? The activity of evil has many expressions, and one of them is that it weakens you. Just you. It just weakens you by the way it talks to you. It says things like, you can handle that drink. Sure you can. You can handle that drink. You could do that. It plays with your conscience. It's the voice that weakens you because it's against the nature of your body to weaken itself. The way the human organism and the human body and the soul works is to survive, not to destroy itself. The way the soul works is to give you signals when you're doing things that are against the life force. So the soul will always intervene to say, shouldn't eat that, that's bad for you, you're diabetic, what are you thinking? Okay? The soul will always signal you, that's not good for you. The soul will always alert you, get up and exercise. Or it will make you feel terrible that you're not exercising. Make you feel awful, make you feel guilty. The whole system will participate in making you feel horrible that you're not taking care of yourself. Because the system is designed to survive. When you hear things in you that are thoughts that are destructive, go ahead and drink. It's okay to drink. You can handle it. Thoughts that are destructive, that are designed to take you down, that encourage you to do the opposite, they come from darkness. Okay? So that's one form of it. The second form is the kind that takes other people down with you. Another form of darkness is when you consciously know a choice you are making will result in another person paying the price. And you consciously know that. I'm going to steal these glasses, but I know everybody's going to think Mercedes did it. And I don't care. And I don't care. That's exactly what I want. So Mercedes will get yelled at. And that's fine with me. That's just what I want. That's evil. That's not a uh-oh. That's not a boo-boo. That's a conscious act of evil. Conscious. Because I'm humiliating her and I'm creating a horrible thing in her life. And now what if I murdered somebody and made sure she got the crime for that one? And destroyed her life, put her in jail. Absolutely did that to her. And I knew it and I didn't care. We got a word for that one. It's called sin. That's not a boo-boo. That's not a, ooh, bummer. These are not big enough. And if you think you can reason with a person like that, if you think, what was the reason? Bad childhood? Oh, you poor thing. No. Someone who acts like that falls into the category of possessed. You're possessed. You're possessed by a darkness that says, I have a right to do this to another person. I have a right to do it. You're possessed. You can't reason with a person like that.
Are there souls that are born evil?
Now, that's a question out of my league. That's out of my league. I cannot give you a definitive answer on that. That is out of my league. I think there are souls who absolutely prefer a relationship with evil once they're here. And I'll tell you something else. I think that people do not realize that, you know, because we have become so fond of our own minds, and and so fond of science and medicine and thinking, that we're living a lie. And the lie is that world of good and evil and this, we think that doesn't exist anymore. We think that kind of world of that invisible forces, that doesn't exist except as we want it. So we love the idea that there are angels because it's so cute. But we dismiss the idea that there are demons. You can't have one way or not the other. I'm sorry, guys, you can't do it. You cannot, this is not a designer universe. You don't get to do that. It is the way it is. And one of the ways darkness works is that once you make a bargain, Malachi Martin, who is a Jesuit, he's a former Jesuit and now he's passed on, but he would say that once you make a bargain with darkness, it's very hard to break that bargain. And how you do that is people, it's my observation, and it's really pretty true, it's accurate, is that people are more comfortable with darkness than they are with light. They're more comfortable telling lies than telling the truth. They're more comfortable with negotiating the truth. You know, it's easier for people. They don't realize that even saying things like, not being honest about, like cheating on tax, whatever it is. They hide, like the Nuremberg trial. Well, everybody does it. Everybody does it. Or not admitting how you feel, or not wanting to hear something that's true. However it is, we find the truth very difficult to deal with. So much so in our society that we have a archetype called the whistleblower, because we find truth to be something we arrest people for talking about. We arrest them. We call them a criminal. Oh my God, he spoke the truth. Shoot him, kill him, arrest him. We'll charge him with sexual crimes to get him to do away with him, to shut him up. That's how appalling we find the truth. It's so hard on our ears. And once you become comfortable with negotiating the truth, however it is, someone says, will you keep this quiet? Sure, I will. And the moment, and as soon as you give your word, you're going to break it. You just lied. And you don't even get that's a lie. You don't even get you've just lied. You don't even think twice about it. You didn't think twice about it. That was an open lie. You didn't even think, I've just lied. Oh my God, I've just lied. Whoosh, doesn't mean a thing. Does not mean a thing. Your word doesn't mean a thing. Now, the thing is, when you're that comfortable not telling the truth, that's what you call a bargain with darkness. You're just comfortable with it. And then it just kind of spins from there, because you realize I trust the dark more than the light, because I know how to manage the dark. I know how to maneuver in darkness. I know how to be deceiving more than to be upfront. I know how to negotiate feelings. I know how to say, well, I'm not quite feeling so hot, so I have to stay in tonight. I know how to maneuver. I know how to manipulate. And it works for me. And it's that same kind of behind-the-scenes shadow that creates the behind-the-scenes world we have. What's in one is in the whole. This is how we got the world we have, because this is who we are. This is who we are. You don't get politicians like this. We are the tree from which these apples fall. Do you understand? They're not anomalies. We're the trees that grew these apples. We're the ones that decided that it's not necessary to pray together, to have any kind of collective moral code, any kind of collective value system. We're the ones who said this was okay. This is how we live now. It shouldn't surprise anybody. Yeah.
Yesterday you talked about self-loathing,
Mm-hmm.
and how when you are inauthentic, you get this experience of self-loathing. But we can become, I'm asking, not telling, we can become numb to this sense of self-loathing.
Yes.
And it's like discomfort. It's just
Becomes a lifestyle. You can become totally numb to the fact that you loathe yourself. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that too becomes encouraged in your head. You look terrible. How's this? I mean, that's how you start talking to yourself. And I think, psychology, because we've developed psychology to be exclusive of external forces as participants. Did you hear what I just said to you? We've developed because we don't believe in that. So we deny that there's any external except Jung. He finally got to the point where he acknowledged that the external world was a participant in the psychic world. But for ordinary psychology, who's so ordinary, they allow for nothing from the extraordinary world as a participant in the psychic world or in the development, so that all the syndromes human beings have are self-generated from either chemicals or the unconscious but no participation whatsoever from the field around you, from entities around you, from spiritual influences, from psychic influences. And that's 90% of who you are. You are far more non-matter than matter. Your body is the caboose on your train, not the engine. The caboose on your train. By the time we get to your body, we've been through your psyche, your soul, your energy system, your emotional system, your intellectual system. Your body is the caboose on your train. Let's make no mistake about that. So when you deal with any kind of and you need to know that, you need to realize this is my caboose, not my engine. Not my engine. Not my engine. So